My name is Rachel Martinez, and I'm 24 years old. What happened at my college graduation still haunts my father's nightmares. Picture this: 500 guests in Harvard's Memorial Hall, my own father standing up during the reception and announcing to everyone that his daughter would never amount to anything in the real world. The reason? I had just graduated summa cum laude with a degree in computer science instead of following him into his law firm, like he'd demanded for years. But here's what nobody expected. 12 months later, when Dad walked into the biggest client meeting of his career, ready to save his failing practice, he found someone waiting at the head of the conference table. Someone he had publicly humiliated exactly 1 year before. The man who controlled his firm's fate wasn't just any CEO, it was his daughter. And the words that came out of my mouth next would change our family forever. Before we dive into this story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy stories about proving doubters wrong. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below, and let me know if you've ever been underestimated by your own family. Let me take you back to that May morning when I thought I was celebrating the biggest achievement of my life. Harvard's graduation ceremony was everything I had dreamed of since I was 12 years old. The crimson robes, the ancient traditions, the weight of 4 years of relentless studying finally paying off. I had graduated summa cum laude with a 3.97 GPA in computer science and artificial intelligence. Not just graduated, I had been selected as one of only 5 students to present their senior thesis to the entire computer science department. My project on machine learning applications for legal research had already caught the attention of 3 major tech companies. But as I stood there in my cap and gown, diploma in hand, all I could think about was the look on my father's face. Ricardo Martinez, senior partner at Martinez, Chen and Associates, one of Boston's most prestigious law firms. He had built his practice from nothing, working 80-hour weeks to establish himself in a field that wasn't always welcoming to first-generation Mexican Americans. Dad had sacrificed everything for success, and he expected the same dedication from his children. My older brother Miguel had followed the prescribed path, Harvard Law, then straight into Dad's firm as a junior associate. My younger sister Sophia was already accepted to pre-law at Georgetown. The Martinez legal dynasty was everything to him. Everything except me. Rachel, finally, Dad said when he spotted me at the post-ceremony reception. His tone was flat, disappointed. That cap and gown, couldn't you have chosen something more practical? You look like you're dressed for some tech startup, not a serious professional event. I smoothed down my graduation regalia, identical to every other graduate's. Good afternoon to you too, Dad. I thought you might want to congratulate your summa cum laude daughter. Summa cum laude in what exactly? He turned to the small group of relatives who had gathered around us. Computer science. As if playing with machines is equivalent to real professional achievement. The sting was familiar, but having it delivered in front of my aunts, uncles, and family friends made it cut deeper. For 4 years, every phone call home had included some variation of this conversation. When I'd made Dean's List sophomore year, he'd asked when I was going to stop wasting time with gadgets and transfer to pre-law. When I'd been accepted into Harvard's exclusive AI research program, he'd suggested it was cute hobby work but not a real career. Technology is the future, Dad, I said, keeping my voice level despite the familiar knot forming in my stomach. AI and machine learning are revolutionizing every industry, including law. He laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Rachel, sweetheart, I've been practicing law for 25 years. I didn't build Martinez, Chen and Associates by chasing fads and computer games. I built it with hard work, real relationships, and understanding what serious clients actually need. My Aunt Carmen shifted uncomfortably. Ricardo, maybe you should. No, it's fine, Dad interrupted, his voice growing louder. Rachel needs to understand something. She's been living in this fantasy world for 4 years, surrounded by professors who fill her head with nonsense about computers changing everything. The reception chatter around us began to quiet as people turned to watch our conversation. I could feel the weight of their stares, the mixture of curiosity and secondhand embarrassment that comes when families argue in public. Dad, please, I whispered. Can we talk about this privately? Why? So you can keep living in denial? His voice carried across the room now, drawing more attention. My daughter thinks she's going to conquer the world with her computer degree. She thinks she's smarter than everyone else because she got good grades and made up classes. The humiliation burned through me, but what Hurt most was seeing my mother's face. Elena Martinez stood frozen beside him, her eyes apologetic, but her mouth silent. She had always played peacekeeper but never when it mattered most. Those aren't made-up classes, Dad. I studied algorithm design, neural networks, data structures, exactly. He threw his hands up dramatically. Word salad. Technical jargon that sounds impressive, but means nothing in the real world. You want to know what I learned in my first year at Harvard Law? How to think critically. How to solve actual human problems. How to build something that lasts. Miguel appeared at Dad's elbow, looking uncomfortable but loyal as always. Dad, maybe we should... No, Miguel. Your sister needs a reality check. Dad turned back to me, his expression a mixture of frustration and what he probably thought was tough love. Rachel, I'm going to tell you something that nobody else will. This computer science phase, it ends now. You've had your fun, you've proven you can get good grades in anything, but it's time to grow up. The room had gone completely quiet. Even the catering staff had stopped moving, sensing the tension. I stood there in my graduation regalia, diploma still clutched in my hand, feeling like I was shrinking under the weight of public judgment. What exactly are you saying? I asked, though I already knew the answer would devastate me. I'm saying that Martinez, Chen and Associates has a place. For you. A real future. Junior associate starting immediately, with the understanding that you'll apply to law school for next fall. I've already spoken to my contacts at Harvard Law. Your grades are good enough that they'll overlook this computer science detour. The offer hung in the air like a death sentence. Everything I had worked for dismissed as a detour. 4 years of sleepless nights, groundbreaking research, academic recognition, all reduced to a phase he was willing to overlook if I abandoned my dreams and followed his script. And if I don't want to be a lawyer? I asked quietly. Dad's expression hardened. Then you'll figure out how to pay your own way in the world. Because I won't be funding any more of this computer fantasy. The trust fund I set aside for your future? That's for law school or nothing. Gasps rippled through the crowd of relatives. My graduation party had become a public ultimatum. You're cutting me off financially if I don't become a lawyer? I needed to be sure I understood the stakes. I'm redirecting my investment toward children who make sensible choices, he clarified, glancing at Miguel approvingly. You have 1 week to decide. Law school applications, or you're on your own. The silence that followed was deafening. My own graduation party turned into the day my father disowned my dreams in front of everyone who mattered to our family. I looked around at the faces, staring at us. Some showed sympathy, others judgment, most just uncomfortable fascination at watching a family implode in public. My mother's eyes were wet, but she remained silent. Miguel looked ashamed but said nothing. Sophia, home from her sophomore year at Georgetown, stared at her shoes. I understand, I said finally, my voice surprisingly steady. You've made your position very clear. Good. I'm glad we can be reasonable about this. I choose my career. The words came out stronger than I felt. I choose computer science. Dad's face cycled through surprise, anger, and finally cold disappointment. Then you choose to do it without my support, financial or otherwise. He turned to address the crowd that had gathered to witness my public humiliation. I apologize for this display, everyone. Sometimes children need to learn lessons the hard way. With that, he walked away, taking most of my extended family with him. I stood alone in my graduation regalia, holding a diploma that suddenly felt worthless, surrounded by the ruins of my relationship with my father. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that 3 days earlier, I had received an email that would change everything. But I wasn't ready to share that information yet. Not until the perfect moment. The week following graduation was the loneliest of my life. Dad hadn't been bluffing about the financial support. My credit cards were canceled, my monthly allowance stopped, and the apartment he'd been paying for in Cambridge had a 30-day notice to vacate. But what hurt more than the money was the silence. Mom called once, briefly, to say she was sorry things had gotten so heated, and that she hoped I would reconsider Dad's generous offer. Miguel texted asking if I needed anything, but when I replied asking for emotional support, he never responded. Sophia sent a single message: "You should have just said yes. It's not worth tearing the family apart." None of them understood that I hadn't torn anything apart. I had simply refused to tear myself apart. During those dark days of job hunting and apartment searching, I kept thinking about the email that had arrived 3 days before graduation. The one I hadn't told anyone about because I'd wanted to surprise Dad at the right moment. The email had come from Dr. Sarah Chen, Harvard's Department Head of Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence. Not a relative of Dad's business partner, purely coincidental last name, though the irony wasn't lost on me. Rachel, the email had read, your senior thesis on machine learning applications for legal research has generated extraordinary interest. We've received inquiries from Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, but there's one opportunity that I think would particularly excite you. Legaltech Innovations is launching a stealth startup focused on revolutionizing law practice through AI law. They're looking for a founding team member to lead their research division. The CEO specifically requested your resume after reading your thesis. Are you interested in a conversation? Legaltech Innovations. I'd researched them immediately after receiving the email. A cutting-edge company founded by former partners from 3 major Silicon Valley law firms, backed by $50 in series of funding. Their mission was to create AI tools that could handle legal research, document review, and case prediction more efficiently than traditional methods. Everything I had been studying. Everything Dad had dismissed as computer fantasy. The CEO, David Park, had been a partner at one of the most prestigious corporate law firms in California, before pivoting to tech entrepreneurship. When we'd spoken on the phone 2 days before graduation, he'd been effusive about my thesis work. Rachel, your research on natural language processing for legal documents is exactly what we need. You've solved problems that our team has been wrestling with for months. We're prepared to offer you a position as lead AI research director, with equity, full benefits, and a starting salary of $180,000. More than most lawyers made in their first 5 years. The catch, David had continued, is that we need someone who can start immediately. We're in a competitive race to launch our platform, and having someone with your specific expertise would give us a significant advantage. I had asked for time to think, planning to discuss the opportunity with my family after graduation. I'd imagined Dad's face when I told him that my computer fantasy had landed me a 6-figure job, leading a research team straight out of college. Instead, I'd watched him humiliate me in front of our entire extended family. On the Monday following graduation, sitting in a Starbucks because I couldn't afford to keep the internet on in my apartment, I called David back. I accept, I said simply. Excellent. Can you start next Monday? We'll handle your relocation to San Francisco, first month's rent, and a signing bonus to help with the transition. By the end of that week, I was on a plane to California with 2 suitcases and a laptop, cutting all contact with my family. Except for a single text to my mother, I'm fine, daughter. I'm working. Don't worry. I didn't tell them where I was working, or what I was doing. Let them assume I was struggling to find my place in the world. The next 12 months were a blur of 80-hour weeks, breakthrough discoveries, and rapid professional growth. Legaltech Innovations wasn't just another startup. It was a company on a mission to revolutionize an industry that hadn't significantly changed in decades. My first project was developing an AI system that could read and analyze legal documents faster and more accurately than human paralegals. Within 3 months, our prototype was outperforming teams of experienced legal researchers by a factor of 10. Rachel, this is incredible, David said during one of our weekly progress reviews. You've essentially created a system that can do in minutes what takes legal teams days to complete. But I knew we could do better. Drawing on my thesis research, I proposed expanding the system to handle case prediction, using machine learning to analyze historical court decisions and predict likely outcomes for current cases. If we can give lawyers data-driven insights into their chances of success, we can help them make better strategic decisions for their clients, I explained to the board during my 6-month review. The investors loved it. By my 9th month at the company, we'd secured an additional $25 million in Series B funding, and I'd been promoted to Director of AI Development with a team of 12 engineers reporting to me. More importantly, our beta clients were reporting remarkable results. Law firms using our platform were completing research in 20% of the time it previously took, with 95% accuracy rates that exceeded human performance. Word was starting to spread through the legal community. Major firms were reaching out for demonstrations. Legal journals were writing articles about the AI revolution in law practice. And at the center of it all was the technology I'd developed. The irony was delicious. My father's dismissal of computer science as irrelevant to law was being proven wrong by the very daughter he'd disowned. But I wasn't ready to reveal that yet. I was waiting for the perfect moment. That moment came sooner than I expected, though not in the way I had planned. I was in my San Francisco office on a Thursday morning in April, reviewing our latest client metrics, when my phone rang with a Boston area code I didn't recognize. Ms. Martinez? This is Jennifer Walsh from Martinez, Chen and Associates. I'm the new office manager. My heart skipped. My father's firm? How did you get this number? I apologize for calling out of the blue. Your father doesn't know I'm contacting you. But we're in a difficult situation, and frankly, you might be the only person who can help. Help with what? Jennifer's voice was strained. The firm is in trouble. We've been losing clients steadily for the past year. The partners are, well, your father and Mr. Chen are considering closing the practice. I set down my coffee, suddenly paying full attention. Closing? What happened? Competition from larger firms mostly? Clients want faster research, lower costs, more efficient service. Martinez, Chen has always operated the traditional way, large teams of associates doing document review, extensive research periods, high billing hours. But clients are finding firms that can deliver the same results faster and cheaper. The exact problem that Legal Tech Innovations solved. There's a meeting tomorrow afternoon, Jennifer continued. A potential client that could save the firm. Berkshire Industries. They need a law firm to handle a massive corporate litigation case. If we land this client, it's a 2-year contract, worth over $3 million. My breath caught. Berkshire Industries was one of LegalTech's most successful beta clients. They'd been using our platform for 6 months and had seen remarkable improvements in their legal efficiency. The meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m., Jennifer said. Your father has been preparing for weeks. He's confident he can win the contract by emphasizing the firm's experience and traditional values. Traditional values. The exact opposite of what Berkshire actually wanted. Miss Martinez, are you still there? Yes, I'm here. Why are you calling me about this? Because I've done my research on you. I know what you've been working on in California. I know about Legal Tech Innovations and the AI platform you developed. And I think there might be a way to help your father without him knowing it's you. My mind raced. Jennifer was right. There was a way to help. But it would require perfect timing, and a dramatic reveal that would either save my father's firm, or destroy our relationship forever. What exactly are you proposing? I asked. Jennifer's plan was elegant in its simplicity. Berkshire Industries had agreed to meet with Martinez, Chen, and Associates. But they'd also requested a demonstration of any innovative legal technologies the firm might be using. They wanted to see how the firm planned to handle their complex litigation needs efficiently. Your father has been scrambling to figure out what innovative technologies even means, Jennifer explained. He's planning to show them our new case management software and call it cutting edge. Case management software from 2015. Against a client who had been using AI-powered legal research for 6 months. Here's what I'm thinking, Jennifer continued. What if someone from Legal Tech Innovations happened to be in Boston tomorrow? Someone who could give a presentation about how AI technology could benefit their legal processes? You want me to present to my father's client? Without telling him who I am? Not exactly. I want you to present to Berkshire as a Legal Tech representative. Let your work speak for itself. If your father wins the contract because of your technology, he'll have his firm saved. If he doesn't, at least you'll know you tried to help. The plan was risky, potentially devastating, and absolutely perfect. I'll need to get approval from my CEO, I said. This isn't exactly standard business protocol. When I explained the situation to David Park, he was initially skeptical. Rachel, this sounds like it could get complicated fast. Family and business don't always mix well. David Martinez, Chen and Associates is exactly the kind of traditional firm that needs our technology most. If we can demonstrate our platform's value to Berkshire in a real-world setting, it's perfect marketing for us. And if we help save a struggling law firm in the process. He considered this. You're right. It's good business. But are you sure you're ready for whatever happens when your father realizes who you are? I thought about graduation day. About being told my degree was worthless. About choosing between my dreams and my family. I'm ready. I flew to Boston Thursday night, checking into a hotel under my professional name, and spending Friday morning preparing for the most important presentation of my life. Not because of the business implications, but because of what it would mean for my relationship with Dad. Jennifer had arranged for me to arrive at Martinez, Chen and Associates at 1:45 p.m., 15 minutes before the Berkshire team was scheduled to arrive. The plan was simple. I would be introduced as a consultant from LegalTech Innovations who was there to demonstrate how AI could enhance their legal services. Dad would have no idea until I walked into the room. At 1:40, I stood outside the building where my father had worked for 25 years. The same building he brought me to as a child, where I'd played in his office while he worked late nights and weekends building his practice. I took a deep breath, adjusted my professional blazer, and walked through the front door. Jennifer met me in the lobby. Ms. Martinez, thank you for coming. I should mention, your father doesn't know you're the consultant I arranged. I thought it would be better to, let him discover that naturally. Naturally meaning it would be a complete shock that might give him a heart attack. Is he ready for the meeting? I asked. He's been preparing all week. Very confident about landing this client the traditional way, emphasizing the firm's history, their personal relationships, their white glove service approach. Everything that Berkshire Industries had moved away from when they started using our AI platform. We walked toward the conference room, my heels clicking on the marble floor I remembered from childhood visits. Through the glass doors, I could see Dad at the head of the polished conference table, reviewing his notes, completely unaware that his world was about to change. The Berkshire team should arrive any minute, Jennifer whispered. Are you ready? I thought about the past year. The loneliness, the determination, the late nights building something revolutionary. The moment when I'd proven that my computer fantasy could transform the very industry that had rejected me. I'm ready. Jennifer opened the conference room door. Mr. Martinez, I'd like you to meet our technology consultant from LegalTech Innovations. Dad looked up from his papers, a polite professional smile on his face, and made eye contact with his daughter for the first time in a year. The smile vanished. His face went completely white. The papers slipped from his hands and scattered across the table. Hello, Dad, I said calmly, stepping into the room with my laptop and presentation materials. I understand you have a client meeting in 10 minutes. I'm here to help you win it. For what felt like an eternity, he said nothing, just stared at me like I was a ghost, his mouth slightly open in shock. Rachel? He whispered finally. What are you doing here? How are you? Why are you? I'm here in a professional capacity. LegalTech Innovations was contacted about providing a technology demonstration for your meeting with Berkshire Industries. I'm the Director of AI Development. Director of... He stood up slowly, gripping the table for support. You work for LegalTech Innovations? I don't just work for them, Dad. I built the technology they're licensing. The AI platform that's revolutionizing legal research? That's my work. His legs seemed to give out slightly, and he sank back into his chair. That's impossible. You graduated a year ago. You're just starting your career. You can't be a director of anything. I set my laptop on the table and began setting up the presentation. Actually, I can show you exactly what I've built. In about 8 minutes, when the Berkshire team arrives, you're going to see why they specifically requested a demonstration of innovative legal technologies. Berkshire requested. They know about you? They've been using our platform for 6 months. They've reduced their legal research time by 75% and increased their case success rate by 40%. That's why they're interested in working with Martinez, Chen and Associates. They want a law firm that can integrate with the technology they're already using. Dad stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. You're saying that Berkshire Industries has been using technology that you created? Technology that you dismissed as computer fantasy, yes. The conference room door opened, and Jennifer appeared with 3 people in expensive suits. The Berkshire Industries legal team. Mr. Martinez, the lead representative said, extending his hand. I'm Tom Berkshire, General Counsel. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Dad stood shakily and shook hands, his eyes never leaving my face. Of course, Mr. Berkshire. This is my daughter, Rachel Martinez, from LegalTech Innovations. Tom's face lit up with recognition. Rachel Martinez? Rachel Martinez, who developed the legal AI platform? This is incredible. We had no idea you were connected to Martinez, Chen, and Associates. She's not, Dad said quietly. She's This is the first time we've spoken in a year. An awkward silence fell over the room. Tom looked confused, glancing between Dad and me. Well, I said, opening my laptop, perhaps we should focus on how Legal Tech's platform can benefit your legal needs, Mr. Berkshire. I understand you're looking for a firm that can handle complex litigation efficiently. Exactly. Exactly. And frankly, your platform has been game-changing for our in-house team. If Martinez, Chen can integrate with the same technology, it would be a perfect partnership. I began my presentation, the same one I'd given dozens of times to potential clients. But this time, I was presenting to my father, showing him exactly what his computer fantasy had become. As you can see, I explained, clicking through slides showing case studies and performance metrics, AI-powered legal research doesn't replace human judgment, it enhances it. Lawyers can focus on strategy and client relationships, while the system handles document review and case precedent analysis. Tom nodded enthusiastically. We've seen exactly these results. Our legal team is more efficient than ever. I glanced at Dad. He was staring at the screen with an expression I couldn't read, part shock, part confusion, part something that might have been pride. Mr. Martinez, Tom said, turning to Dad. If your firm can provide this level of technological integration, combined with your experience and client service, it would be exactly what we're looking for. Dad cleared his throat. Mr. Berkshire, I have to be honest with you. Until 10 minutes ago, I didn't know my daughter worked for Legal Tech Innovations. I didn't know she'd created this technology. In fact, I'm still trying to understand how any of this is possible. Another awkward silence. What I can tell you, Dad continued, his voice growing stronger, is that if Rachel says this technology can help your legal needs, then I trust her judgment completely. I looked at him sharply. This was not the response I'd expected. You see, Mr. Berkshire, my daughter has always been brilliant. Smarter than me, certainly. I wasn't smart enough to see it until right now. Tom smiled. Family business can be complicated. But talent is talent, regardless of the source. Indeed it is. Dad looked directly at me. Rachel, would Legal Tech Innovations be interested in partnering with Martinez, Chen and Associates on the Berkshire contract? We could provide the legal expertise and client service, while your platform handles the research and analysis components. It was an olive branch. A recognition of my work and an invitation to collaborate rather than compete. I think, I said carefully, that could be a very beneficial arrangement for everyone involved. Tom clapped his hands together. Excellent. This is exactly the kind of innovative approach we're looking for. When can we start? After the Berkshire team left, having agreed to a 2-year contract that would indeed save Dad's firm, I found myself alone in the conference room with my father, for the first time in a year. The silence stretched between us, heavy with everything we hadn't said. Rachel, he began finally, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. I nodded, waiting. When you accepted that job at Legal Tech, did you know about Berkshire? Did you know this meeting was happening? No. I found out yesterday when Jennifer called me. But Dad. I paused, choosing my words carefully. I've known for months that traditional law firms were struggling. I've known that the technology I was building could help. I just never imagined you'd be willing to accept that help. He was quiet for a long moment, staring at his hands folded on the table. At your graduation, he said quietly, I told you that you'd never be successful. That computer science was a fantasy. I remember. I was wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. He looked up at me. You didn't just become successful. You became successful in exactly the way I said was impossible. And you did it without my help. Without my support. Despite my opposition. I felt tears threatening, but I kept my voice steady. I did it because you opposed it. Because I had to prove to myself that my dreams were worth fighting for. You proved it to everyone, not just yourself. Rachel, do you understand what you did in there? You didn't just save my business. You showed me that everything I thought I knew about success was wrong. Dad, no, let me finish. For 25 years I built this firm on the belief that traditional methods, personal relationships, and proven practices were the only path to lasting success. I taught you that anything else was risky, impractical, worthless. He stood and walked to the window overlooking Boston's financial district. But you built something better than what I built. In 1 year, You created technology that could revolutionize an entire industry. You earned respect from people I've been trying to impress for decades. You did everything I claimed was impossible. I learned from watching you, I said softly. Your work ethic, your attention to detail, your commitment to excellence. I just applied those principles in a different field. He turned back to face me. I'm proud of you, Rachel. I should have said that at graduation. I should have said it every day for the past year. I'm proud of you, and I'm sorry. The words I had waited my entire life to hear. I'm sorry too, Dad. For disappearing. For not trying to bridge the gap between us. You had nothing to apologize for. You were building a career. Building a life. Building something extraordinary. He paused. Building something that saved my firm. We stood looking at each other across the conference table, both of us trying to figure out how to rebuild a relationship that had been shattered by pride and misunderstanding. So what happens now? I asked. Now? Now we work together? If you're willing. Martinez Chen and Associates could use a technology director to win or someone who understands both the legal field and the innovations that are changing it. I smiled. I think I might know someone who fits that description. There's just one condition, Dad said. And for a moment, I tensed, wondering if he was about to add some qualifier that would undermine everything we'd just resolved. What's that? I need you to teach me everything. About AI. About machine learning. About the future of legal practice. I'm 62 years old and apparently I don't understand the world my daughter lives in. I'd like to change that. 6 months later, I was splitting my time between San Francisco and Boston, serving as technology director for Martinez Chen and Associates while maintaining my role at Legal Tech Innovations. The partnership had exceeded everyone's expectations. The Berkshire contract had led to 3 more major clients, all drawn by the firm's unique combination of traditional legal expertise and cutting-edge AI capabilities. Dad had embraced the technology with the same intensity he'd once brought to traditional practice, spending hours learning about machine learning algorithms and natural language processing. More importantly, we had rebuilt our relationship on a foundation of mutual respect rather than expectations and disappointments. You know, Dad said during one of our weekly business meetings, I used to think that success meant following a proven path. I thought innovation was just a risk that smart people avoided. And now I realize that the riskiest thing you can do is assume the world will never change. You saw the future of legal practice while I was still fighting to preserve the past. The transformation hadn't been easy for either of us. There were moments when old patterns emerged, when Dad slipped into authoritarian mode, or when I became defensive about my methods. But we were learning to communicate as colleagues rather than the parent and child, as partners rather than adversaries. The most meaningful moment came during Thanksgiving dinner that year. For the first time since my graduation, the entire Martinez family was together. I'd like to make a toast, Dad said, raising his glass. To my daughter Rachel, who taught me that the most dangerous words in business are, "That's how we've always done it." Miguel raised his glass. To my sister, who proved that stubborn runs in the family, but sometimes stubborn is exactly what you need. Sophia added, to the sister who showed me that you don't have to choose between family and dreams. You can fight for both. And Mom, who had been quietly proud all along, said simply, to my daughter, who was always destined for greatness. We just needed to learn how to see it. Looking back on that year between graduation and the meeting that changed everything, I realized that the most important lesson wasn't about technology or business success. It was about the difference between proving someone wrong and proving yourself right. I had spent so much energy trying to show Dad that he was wrong about me, about my field, about my potential. But what actually mattered was building something meaningful, something that created value for others, something I could be proud of regardless of anyone else's opinion. The sweet revenge wasn't seeing Dad's face when he realized his daughter was successful. It was the Karane now, Didole moment when we both realized that success isn't a zero-sum game. His achievement didn't diminish mine, and mine didn't diminish his. We could both be right, in different ways, at different times. For anyone watching this who has felt dismissed or underestimated by family, who has been told their dreams are impractical or worthless, I hope my story offers both encouragement and perspective. Your success doesn't require anyone else's failure. Your vindication doesn't require their humiliation. The most powerful revenge is building something so meaningful that it benefits even the people who doubted you. Have you ever had to choose between family approval and your own dreams? Have you found a way to bridge that gap? Comment below and share your story. How did you handle being underestimated by the people who should have believed in you most? Like and subscribe if this resonated with you, and remember, the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's building something so right that it lifts everyone up, even the doubters. Thank you for listening to my story. Your dreams are worth fighting for, even when the people closest to you can't see their value yet. Sometimes the most important validation is the kind you give yourself.